Good evening, everyone. Before I hand over to the chair of tonight's meeting, I remind everyone in the room they're now live streaming. We politely request that all participants wait until being invited to speak by the chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand. Once invited to speak, please preface your contribution by stating your name. This will help the mics lock in on the primary speaker and thereby maximise the sound quality for those watching at home. If you're watching at home and wish to participate in tonight's meeting, please turn your video on. If you are just observing, please turn your video off. Unless actively speaking, all those watching the meeting via Zoom should have their mics muted. Members of the public are reminded that public participation is for questions only. Comments, suggestions or representations may be made at the discretion of the chair of the meeting. In case of a fire evacuation, the fire point is the marketplace. This evening there will be no fire drills. I will now hand you over to tonight's chair, Councillor Griffin.
Good evening, everybody. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence.
Everybody's here.
Thank you. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Anything? No. Very good. Item 3, public participation. May I ask that keep to any questions that are relevant to the Finance Administration Performance Committee, please. Anybody wishes to speak? Item 4, minutes of the last meeting held 4th of November last year. Observations or comments? Amendable? Thank you. Second. Thank you. All in favour? Item 5 on the agenda is financial risk assessment. This is a review that's been undertaken periodically by council officers relating to the accounting system and other procedures associated with the financial management of the council. There are a few comments highlighted in yellow that were really just sort of bringing readers' attention to significant items that may need further action and review by the council rather than by the officers, including things like use of the council debit card. But it's our consideration that there's nothing significant that causes any concern. And these sort of things are kept under regular review and subject to revision as necessary to improve things. Anybody have any? John?
Thank you, Chair. So are we not going to, you don't want to go through this report?
Yes, happy to do so. That was just an opening.
I'm slightly worried if the conclusion is that everything's fine and dandy, which is what I was kind of hearing from you there, because going through this report, I don't think everything is fine and dandy, and I think a lot of the things that are listed in the risk monitoring and mitigation column are items where when one's looking through it, one can see that we're not achieving those, but I'm not sure what's happening about it, because we're certainly some of the mitigating actions aren't being taken that we see there. And going specifically to your point that you were just making about the debit cards, this committee discussed this before and expressed considerable concern about the way in which the debit cards were done, and I'm reading in this that exactly the same principle is going to be continuing into the future than what we expressed concern about previously. Which is that there is in effect a generic debit card or credit card that's used for but that is in the name of one individual. But held in a safe that anyone's got access to. I can't begin to think about how risky that is. And most importantly of all, we have a duty to protect our staff. And if that card has been issued in the name of a member of staff, then that member of staff is personally responsible for the transactions that take place on that card. And if that card is accessible by other people and can be used by other people, how can we hold that individual responsible? And in which case, how can the council hold anybody responsible for its use? So there's a number of other items on here I really would like to explore as we go through. I don't think we can just.
Shall we deal with this first one then?
Since then, we've recorded that card back in, and that card is now locked in the safe, and people don't use that card.
But what's it doing locked in the safe? If the card's not going to be used anymore because we won't have a generic card.
It's still in the name of one member of staff, and it's only that member of staff, when he needs to use that he gets it out of the safe.
But is he the only person who has access to it?
Previously, it was being handed out to other members of staff, but it's not now.
No. Is he the only one who has access to that? Is the safe accessible to other people?
Mal, can you explain, is it actually locked away in the safe that other people can't then get it out?
No, it's not. Several people have got access to the safe, so it's not in a locked in.
But they've had clear instructions that they're not to use that card.
No, but it's the.
That's the reason.
Okay, so, Jenny?
I was going to say, the only way surely that is safer is if the PIN has been changed and therefore people don't know how to access the card. I think, although I am in agreement that it's probably not the most safe way to have a card that's assigned to one person. I know all of our staff are very trustworthy, but it does just take one accidental mishap.
Can I suggest, if there's one card in the name of, for a named individual, that named individual retains that card, and therefore,
The rule that we have in Canberra for where we issue bank cards to members of staff is that they are informed when they receive that card and they have to sign something accepting it, that they are responsible for the safety and security of that card and making sure that it's not abused.
Yes.
So now that doesn't prevent fraud from potentially happening because we're all at risk of fraud with our cards. But they've got to have taken the necessary steps to protect that card. And I would tell you for nothing that if they said putting it in a safe that's got shared access, that's not taking reasonable precautions for the safety of that card.
So, I had a meeting earlier today with Tracy, our town clerk. Unfortunately, I've not had a chance to talk with our RFO, but we are instigating a change of procedures so that this whole situation will be tightened up and secured.
Surely it needs to be on that risk register exactly what we're doing. It's all good. It's good that you're having the conversation, but I'm slightly concerned that we don't have another finance meeting for 3 months, 2 months. And therefore it won't come to this council, and it needs to come before the 31st of March and be approved and implemented. I'm not saying it won't be, but I think it needs to be agreed this evening.
If necessary, we'll bring it to the next full council meeting.
But what I don't understand is we discussed this last time. I mean, we agreed last time that if we needed cards for people, we'd order cards for people, and that we wouldn't have a generic card and everyone having access to it. And with the greatest of respect, not only has nothing happened about that, but the new risk assessment that comes out is actually saying that our mitigating policy is to carry on with what we used to have and not to actually follow through what we talked about last time. And you say, with respect, Chair, you said you've had conversations, but you can't make any decisions. So when are we going to have conversations as a committee when actually those decisions can be made?
Apologies, this doesn't actually reflect what was said to everybody, because on here, Capish has said that, he's asked everybody not to use it without agreement. That wasn't the instructions that was given out. They are not to use it, it's only in Hugh's name, it's only for Hugh to use that card. I'll take on board what you say about it being in the safe. I will tomorrow put out further instructions and get Hugh to take that back into his ownership so that nobody can have access to that. So I'll personally do that tomorrow myself.
So how much of the rest of these points on here aren't reflective of actually the,
What's the next item which gave you particular concern?
well, I mean, I can tell you the ones that give me concern, but I'm even more concerned now because what I'm not now certain of is how many of them are up to date or accurate. Because obviously this one is wildly different than what we were potentially expecting. But the ones that I have specifically highlighted as not quite sure what's going on with, if you go to page 12, risk monitoring and mitigation, and the third point down on that particular box, maintain general fund at between 40 and 50% of the precept.
Yes.
Sorry, councillor, which one page? are you looking
Go
at?
down slightly more, that top book.
The top section, page 12.
There, maintain
Oh,
your
yeah,
fund.
yeah, sorry.
Okay, so that's not at the moment the policy of this council, is it?
I think the reality is that this is the policy of the council. But as you're aware from the full council meeting.
No, I'm with the greatest of respect, Chair, no. The policy of this council is that it needs to be between 3 months and 12 months. And the reality of this council and what was accepted in the budget that this council set last week is that it's going to be less than 2 months this year.
Yes, so this statement was prepared prior to the date of last week's meeting. So does require revision. And that's
So-
it.
the moment, and this is a document that we can't actually work with because actually it doesn't bear relation to the current situation we're in. So
Chair, can I just to make it even more confusing, I just noticed above that one.
Oh, no, I was just getting ready to go on that.
You removed
But that, in fairness, did only change last week. So the earmark support reserve to support the precept was moved last week to try and prop up the general reserve. And, you know, you could, even I would have to accept that that was a very recent change. But there's no way when if this paper was produced in the last, I don't know, and actually was gone through bit by bit, I'm really sorry, but there's no way we would be talking about 40–50% of precept. So what worries me here is that we've got some generic risk monitoring document, risk assessment document that's been taken from elsewhere, copied and pasted into this, which I do have to say, when you look at the structure of the document, it's very clear that there are tables that have been pasted into other tables within Word and all the rest of it here. And actually, this isn't something that is entirely relevant or appropriate to this town council in its current situation. And this is what we've done for successive years now, and it's how we've got ourselves more and more into trouble. And actually, we need something that is relating to what is going on, is referencing back to things that actually happen and things that are actually going to happen, and not just be full of woolly generic comments that actually.
Okay. Yep, thank you, John. Pat?
Through you, Chair, perhaps Tracy can tell us when this document was produced and could I ask that next week or next time we have a meeting, we have an updated one, because by then quite a few of the things in it should have changed anyway.
This document was produced by the RFO, and I think we brought it for this meeting, and then he just amended the amendments there. I was going to suggest, if that's okay, that we defer this now, because on remote to the finance processes, that side, that I actually go and test line by line of it. And I think because it's written by the RFO, and I don't know if Mel's had part in it, maybe they're too close in the processes to see the other side, and if I can have time to go back through it.
Yeah, sweet.
Well, you've also got, if you go to page 9, under income, precepts annually via town council budget, and go to risk and monitoring mitigation on that, it actually says on there, which contradicts the other bit, says maintain general fund at 3 months minimum.
The document's contradicting itself.
Needs going through, as you say, line by line.
And just to really put the cherry on the cake, our general reserves at the moment are considered to be a low risk.
I think the point has been made by everybody that there are deficiencies within this report. Tracy, I don't want to put you on the spot, but how quickly do you think we can come up with a revised report? I think we need it before the next finance meeting, so it'll have
Oh,
to
yeah,
be,
definitely.
it'll have to be passed up to a full council meeting.
Next full council is next week.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have it.
That would be too soon.
Wouldn't have it in time for that.
So the full council and finance are in the same month, so
Yeah.
you'd have to have a special meeting.
I would suggest we do have a special meeting, Chair. I am concerned that I cannot remember the last finance meeting where we have not ended up deferring at least one significant item on the agenda.
Yes.
Because it's not being presented properly, or it's incorrect, or it's inaccurate, or it hasn't got the right information in it. And that really, I genuinely am getting really worried that our processes just aren't there and just aren't working behind the scenes. And we've got to pull this together. I'll just give you another example, if I may, because the finance officer who's with us this evening has on many occasions expressed concern that we're paying people late, and has talked about as potentially being put on hold with people and the rest of it. It's not that the individual officer withholding telling us that, yet we've got a system here that we're being told, and again, this is a low risk, so there's basically no risk to the council of this at all, that all suppliers must be paid within 30 days, and that any supplier that's not being paid within 60 days is reported to the Finance and Admin Committee. Well, I've never seen a report that tells me about people who haven't been paid on time, yet we have been told that we've been placed on hold with suppliers for non-payment.
I also think we need to put into the risk assessment as well a bit about if we go 10-15% over budget or don't hit a budget in terms of money coming in, so things like the storm at Christmas will have caused us to probably not hit budget on those, that they're written as notes and are supplied as well to the finance committee, because I just think, again, it shows that we are being very transparent with our communities to know the reasons we've not hit budget. We might have gone over budget for a very specific reason. It could be something well out of our control, like,
Well, we've asked for that how many times, Jen?
I know, but I think if at least if it's written down, I agree with you, but it's not even written down at the moment.
No, I know, but we're meant to have the 15% variance report, aren't we?
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, but that, as I said, we've asked for it so many times.
I just think if it's written down as a risk, at least it's us something we can keep recalling back to say, can that be added as a risk? Because I think a 15% variance report, whatever percentage.
Andrew, do you know how, if there's any space in the calendar this time next month, middle of February?
If I can just say that we've introduced and we bring the budgets along to each committee meeting, and that's where members have the opportunity and we go through the budget there. But I do take on board that if there's 15%, either side, we want to read a report on that.
I just think it's for transparency for me, that we're able to be very transparent.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks for the vote. You see?
Sorry.
Those are the spaces next month. When do you think you could?
But to have a special finance meeting,
Yeah.
yes, either the 10th or the 17th of February.
Any preference?
Let me check there. No, preference is that I think
I would suggest-
approve.
I would
So, yeah,
suggest-
like,
Can I suggest we need to check when Calpesh is available?
Yeah,
Because we need that meeting with both Calpesh and yourself, Tracy, in the room.
yeah. So it'll either be the 10th or the 12th.
I particularly like the bit here where it says ascertain reason for shortfall in income and whether it can be recovered in the financial year. If not, take appropriate steps to support the general fund by cutting expenditure or allocating shortfall from earmarked reserves. To get it back up to 40%, that is.
Yes, I think we've established that there are deficiencies here that we will address, hopefully by this time next month. So,
Sorry, Chair.
Get them to vote on it. Yeah, get them to vote. We need a proposal to say that they want an extra meeting.
Oh, well, excellent. In that case, I'll make a proposal for you, Chair, because I'm going to ask if we can make sure. Can I propose that we ask for a special meeting of the Finance Committee? And to that committee is brought all current financial regulations and procedure documents, wherever possible, updated. But actually that we get a library of all of them, so we know what all of the various documents are. We can see when they were last updated, we can try and look at what state they're in and see how we move forward.
yes. Is that, so that's your proposal?
That's my proposal.
Can I add it? That we have some sort of a timetable of what's needed or make it or construct one when we get all these papers.
Well, that's what we're doing once we've got it all, but we need to see exactly what's there before we can work out what but we need a proper way forward. We haven't had an opportunity of having everything at once in the room for a long time. And I think that all these risk assessments and policy for this, policy for that, how we handle this, how we handle that. Let's get it all in one room. Let's have a special meeting where we're not looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
We're looking at how we manage the numbers, and how we deal with the queries that come out of those numbers. And then we can then try and get ourselves on track for proper reporting on it. Because frankly, we don't have that at the moment, in my opinion.
Thank you for the proposal. I'm happy to second that.
Can you just tell me exactly what the proposal was again? Sorry, John, not that I'm going to vote against it, I just want to check what it is.
That we hold a special meeting. To that meeting comes copies of all of the policies and procedures and documentation surrounding how we handle council finances. And at that meeting, we go through those documents. And you know, it might be that coming out of that meeting will be quite a lot of other work. Because if they're all like this, we've got challenges afoot, haven't we?
Thank you. Just want to check.
Shall we take a vote on that? John, vote, I seconded. All in favour? Thank you. So moving on, item 6 is the internal auditor's interim report. Dated the 23rd of December. That raises a similar number of points. Yes, John?
I ask for a simple clarification on something first, which is, am I correct in my belief that this is the first report from a new set of internal auditors? We've changed our internal audit.
No, it's the same ones. We're in a 3-year contract with them.
So, and how many years into this are we?
I think we're into our 3rd year now, aren't we? We're into our, this is the final year.
Okay, well, in which case, my question comes from a very different direction, but it and to me takes on some more seriousness, which is that there are a whole host of things that the internal auditor is raising that would have been applicable in previous years as well, and yet were never raised.
An auditor that came, it's the same auditing company, but it was a different auditor that came. So we have gone back to them as, like, you know, the signing and receiving emails rather than hard copies. One would do that in year 1 of an election, not at the end of the 4-year term of an election. That was one, you might not have picked it, you might have taken it out on here, but that was one of his queries.
Yes, but there are a number of issues there that are have elements of seriousness to them that were relevant in previous years. And for some of us, one of the things that I have not been able to understand is how in previous years we were getting clean bills of health from the auditor when it was very, very clear things weren't clean. Now, I'm afraid, I think we have questions to ask of our auditors, because it's perfectly reasonable where you may have the opinion of an auditor about whether an email gets signed at this point or that one. But there are some very basic accounting issues in here that they had previously given green light to, that they're now, you know, the law hasn't changed, accountancy practice hasn't changed. Why are we now, as we should be, being picked up on it? And why was that not happening previously? And the auditors need to be able to answer that question, because these are the people who are meant to be holding us to account. And where they're not, where they failed in their duty, that challenge needs to be made.
Are there any particular items within it that? Yes, Tracy.
So what we propose to do now is do an action list out of this audit return, and then report back to council the action that we've taken against all of these points.
Because there are some interesting statements on it.
Yes, yes.
I'm deeply worried. I am genuinely deeply worried, but I'm not deeply worried that they've been picked up this year, but I'm deeply worried that we've not been doing it properly. But there have been a number of councillors, not just myself, there have been a number of councillors who've been shouting from the rooftops for a number of years that we are deeply unhappy about how certain processes were being run. Purchase orders is one of those items, and I'll say that's highlighted in this report. And we have been shot down, and we've been told we don't know what we're talking about. And we've been told, no, the auditors have signed this off. If there was anything untoward, anything not right, the auditors would have picked this up.
Can I say on a general point, John, any auditor will tell you that it's not their responsibility to detect or examine every system. They depend and rely upon the procedure, the documented procedures of the organisation that they're auditing.
But surely some of these issues have come before this, like, we know, like, for instance, like the purchase orders. You know, this isn't the first time that something like this has happened, where, you know, we haven't had the purchase orders in line. You know, and there's been quite a few things that have come up that we know other people have spoken about, you know, such as, you know, not using the outers correctly and things like that. So I, you know, I understand what you're saying. You know, it is their job to picking this up. Otherwise, why are we paying them?
And I'm really sorry, but we were unable to locate the council's financial risk assessments. Well, that's because, you know, they hadn't been being done. Well, if they can only go by the documents that they're picking up, they should be identifying that they were unable to locate those previously, shouldn't they?
Yes, that's a reasonable assumption to make, I think.
So I think, you know, I think there's some very serious questions that need to be asked here. Because, you know, at the end of the day, the people the public hold responsible for all of this is us.
Yes.
As councillors. And as councillors, we have to rely on the professional advice and guidance that we are being given. And when you're paying a lot of money and good money to auditors to be undertaking an audit of your accounts and to be examining these things, and for 2 years them to be coming back and saying everything's fine, when we all knew it wasn't, and we were all saying it wasn't.
Right, so as I see it, John, there are two aspects of this. There's one is whether or not the auditors have adequately performed their responsibilities in the past. And the second and more important one for the council is, what do we do about the matters that they have now brought to our attention?
I think on that one, actually, it's probably a question for you, Tracy. How looking through this, I mean, there are some pretty glaring things out there, but there's also some easy wins in this. Have you and Calpesh gone through this and come up with a plan of how to right some of the wrongs that are in it?
Yeah, we're starting to implement the changes.
Yeah.
And it's about making sure that everybody understands the processes. I think in the past, we've made them now read the financial regulations and to some that they read them and understand, and the ones that are responsible for doing the purchase orders.
And so is there a potential that at the next, even at the extra or the special or whatever we're calling it, finance meeting, you could take each of the points that are in here and tell us what you're doing to rectify those
Yeah,
things?
That's what I said, that's what we're going.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
I think I was reading it.
No lessons. So the reality is that when we have this special meeting in a month or so's time, we won't be at the point where we have a full resolution of all of the issues, but we will have identified a methodology to fix the problems and be making movement towards getting those changes implemented.
The RFO will be at the meeting, because I'm aware that he wasn't there for the auditors when the auditors were here. So, but I think it would be really beneficial to actually have them in the room, so we can actually.
Yes, I
face
believe
questions.
so, and we will do our utmost to ensure that's right. But yes, it would be ideal if the RFO is available, but I do not believe that we should necessarily delay the meeting and consideration by the councillors.
So I disagree with you entirely, Chair, because the RFO is the responsible financial officer. At the end of the day, they are the person who is responsible for making sure that the procedures are right and proper and in place. So if we try and have a meeting where we talk about what procedures should we have, and we don't have the person responsible for those procedures there, how do we know the decisions we are making are the right ones? They've got to be in the room. They've got to be in the room. This isn't something I would be willing to debate. We cannot. That would just be, that would be like asking the person who's going to come and fix your car to do it remotely.
You and I have a difference of opinion on this.
I'm backing John on this. I really do think Arafura should be in the room.
I think he has to be here.
Yeah.
I asked for it, I'll agree with you. John.
I've got to be honest, I really struggle actually with having the screen here. I would prefer it even to go, I mean, I don't think the agenda necessarily needs to be up there. We've all got it in front of us and can you see it? Which I was like, no. I just think, for me, I find it, I really struggle with when there's just sort of this voice from the gods as it is. So I think, yeah.
It's so important we get this absolutely right and.
And it's been so long, so for such a long time, and I know the work that yourself and Kalpesh are doing to rectify it is further than we've been in a long, long time. But I think we need people in the room to be able to go just to the explanation.
Yeah, I don't want to lay blame on a bit. I honestly didn't know that was taking place on that day, otherwise I would have been there. I was there at the previous one. I didn't realise, but I was sure that they actually emailed me. They didn't send the emails. It went straight to RFO. It didn't come to me, so I wasn't aware it took place on that day. To be honest,
I'm really not fussed about looking back at that. What I'm worried about is looking forward.
Yeah.
And how we, looking backwards
We need
takes you nowhere.
Yeah.
We need to say, how do we get ourselves on track? And my frustration, and I know my frustration is running over, but my frustration is if this was the first time we were having the conversation, fair enough. Okay. But and I've had this conversation with so many different people sat there. Sappho remember sitting where Andrew is now, me ranting about all of this stuff. Whoever came before you will remember me ranting about it. They remember when Sue was on the council, her commenting on it. We've got to sort this stuff out. We really have. Because the really scary thing is, you could say, well, look, go to page 28 on the report, and almost everything's ticked in the yes column, whoopee-doo. But actually, the box that is ticked no, or one of the boxes that is ticked no, is the one that says the authority complied with its financial regulations, payments were supported by invoices, all expenditure was approved, and VAT was appropriately accounted for. No. And as a councillor, I want to know what those no's are about and what we're doing to make sure that they're yeses in future. And as you know, Tracy, I have asked a number of questions and sometimes I've put up with the don't worry, we've got it under control answer. But those answers become less powerful when at the next meeting, again, you're getting documents coming to you that are just woefully unprepared.
So we've got this meeting earmarked for next month. I don't see that there's any great benefit in going through this line by line if we're going to further consider it at the special meeting next month with plans for updating it.
Can I ask that we receive a written report back to this committee? It may not be possible for that to be done for the special meeting next month, and I'll accept that. But a written report back to this committee that actually goes through the deficiencies highlighted in the audit report with an explanation as to the steps that have been taken to A, resolve the issues that were there, and B, give us assurance that they have been addressed to ensure they don't happen again in the future. Because the problem, I accept and agree, Chair, that go through it line by line isn't going to answer anything now, particularly without the RFO present. But what I don't want to do, which is what we've done in the past, is just say, right, well, we'll move on to the next item then, and then this just lies there
No,
and never gets addressed again.
was not my intention. So, but it's a question of making valuable use of this meeting.
So I'm proposing, I don't know if did we vote on the last one yet? Right, well, I'm proposing that we request a written report to come back, talking us through the officer's actions in relation to the audit report that we've received, the mitigation that's been put in place to deal with the issues raised, and the steps being taken to ensure that they're not raised again, and a breakdown of what those issues were. I'm afraid I'm not interested in someone telling me, don't worry, that's paragraph you read out just now, John, about us not following financial regs, etc., etc. That's all dealt with now. I want something that says, these were the issues the auditor raised. These were the regulations that weren't followed on these occasions. These were the invoices where we made payment, we didn't have the invoices. These were the VAT things that there were.
Yep.
And these are the corrections that have been made, and these are the steps that have been taken. I seek a seconder.
All those in favour? Thank you. Tracy, do you know when this is the interim visit, do you know when the final visit is expected to take place?
It's normally just before year end, they would come about Christmas time, I believe. And for year end,
Right,
you
So-
have, yeah,
so they would follow up in March.
yeah.
Right, okay, so if we're having our meeting, a special meeting and corrective action in a
Yeah.
month's time, we've then got a month to be able to demonstrate.
I'll
to
find
them
out when the
function.
date, if the next visit is.
Thank you. So moving on then to what hopefully be slightly less contentious agenda item. Reports from recipients of previous grants. So we have a table on page 31 and a number of individual reports from recipient organisations. Can I ask, are there any members of representatives of any of these organisations here with us tonight? We have a few. Thank you. If we go through them in on our agenda list, and if any of the three of you would like to stand up and comment, that would be greatly appreciated. So the first is item 7.1, celebrating age Wiltshire. So
Do you have some pictures for that as well, which they emailed through afterwards? So there's a couple there from this is Walton Melksham Library. Or one. An explanation on that just says, there we go. Please find attached monitoring form, not quite spent on, sorry, that shouldn't really show that on the screen. Not quite spent on the money yet, body benefits postponed. March, explain this on the form. Please find attached a photo of the September art workshop to share at your meeting. So that is.
yes, and the final comment on their review document says that they booked an artist for a postponed session on the 4th of March. Hopefully, so continued works.
There's another one from them there, which is the last one in Oxford News.
Pleasing to hear that somebody likes what we do. Item 7.2 is from Group 5.
And they.
Can't.
Group 5 emailed it today saying they couldn't attend.
Jump from 7.2 to 7.4.
No, 7.3,
7.3, yes, that's an addendum, it came in late, came in after, sorry, still swimming, swimming club.
You want to?
Yes, they were, thank you for your grants. The money was spent, putting members of our team through coaching courses with Swim England, which has benefited the children of the Melksham area. We've got a reliable coach to teach them from all through the stages of swimming, even at competitive level, and representing Melksham at galas and individual meets as well. So which have had quite a successful year with quite a few members that have managed to reach county times and represent Wiltshire as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
So 7.4 is the Melksham Gardeners Society.
Yeah, we spent the grant on the rental of the hall to run our flower and produce show every year. We had a very successful show, about 250 people involved, either exhibiting or visiting the show. We're very grateful for the mayors coming along and presenting the prizes on the day. So yes, it really supports the Gardener Society through that event every year, and we're very grateful for it.
Okay, thank you very much. Melksham Lions.
You have a couple of pictures from them as well, I think.
It's not sounding not interested.
That's only 348 sleeps to go.
Exactly. The excitement is palpable.
Ladies and gentlemen, I actually asked Alexa this evening how many days are over Christmas. Oh, sorry, just close it down. I'm not sure what the third one is. The third one may also be the sleigh. Yes, they're all the sleigh. Oh, there's a little report on it though.
Nelson Davina.
Got gender correct of the reindeers.
Eh?
Reindeers are women,
I know.
because male reindeers antlers fall off.
I've read up on that over Christmas.
You don't know that? Male reindeers antlers fall off, so the males really
Been doing the work.
Women do the what?
Man sits back in the sled and watches, women do the work.
Bing's got in a lot of trouble for this, but it is true. You do all the work. Give a minute that if you want.
I'm recognising the fact. I'm not arguing it.
So 7.6 is the Riverside Centre.
Well, I suppose I should have declared an interest on this because I'm a trustee of the Riverside Centre.
You haven't got to rewind all the way back to the beginning.
Well, no, because you can when it comes up, and we've not been given any money this evening, but I can tell you that the 2 cookers are now in place. The big difference with these cookers over the ones that were there before, these are much more domestic style cookers, which is really important because one of the big bits of work that we're doing down at the Riverside Centre now is effectively the learn to cook activities that we're doing. And well, stuff coming from the larder is helping tremendously with this when we run the courses. But so teaching people basically who don't know how to cook or certainly don't know how to economically cook to do so. So having cookers more akin to what they would have in their home, as opposed to the commercial cookers that were there before, makes a big difference. So no, those have done a fantastic job and thank you very much.
I think I did have some pictures of the cookers, but I don't think. that was
there-
museum.
yes,
They definitely were, I've seen them.
Yeah, there are.
But they're cookers, I mean, you know. Even I struggle to get that excited about.
There's a hot water heater in the corner as well.
So,
It's not like the reindeers.
no, it's not like the reindeers, no. But the cookers.
They're on it though.
Yeah, it is all real.
Not Santa's.
So next is item 7.7, that meeting space, Good Church News, sorry, Good News Church. So that is for on their website and various other supplies, bits and pieces. And 7.8 is Wiltshire Search and Rescue.
Have we found them yet?
You make that joke every time. Such a dad joke.
But you laughed.
I did laugh.
I think I know.
It was-
Like that
It was
joke.
a pitiful chuckle.
We need to formally resolve that they've been received.
Well, just notes.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent.
It's not, it's Michelle.
That's a particularly stupid one.
So item 8.1 is to receive. Yes, sorry. Thank you, Trace. Thank you for attending this bit. It's, your appreciation is appreciated, I should say. You're very welcome to remain for the balance of the meeting.
There's fun in it next week. We go through the books line by line. That's how exciting it is.
So item 8.1 is transactions through the Unity Bank for months
He's still.
708, which is October and November of last year.
Sorry,
Oh.
there was one question I had.
Yeah.
We got down about we paid page 59. Oh, yeah, I'm keep going.
Right, that's
Right, that page. We've got photographs for John, we paid over £1,000 to Jonathan Webb, photographs, what were they for? Where is it? Well, it's not.
Yeah. Where is it, Sharon?
59.
So,
That one there. That was an image, it was an image of aerial image of Melksham.
right,
Which was used in a document some years ago.
Oh, yes.
And he wrote saying, this is my image. And unfortunately, at the time, we had no clerk. I did what I could.
it's
well,
copyright.
With copyright, basically, yeah. It's been going on for a while because it sort of, we had nobody who could authorize it. And eventually, when Hayley came in, she said to me, what do you think?
Yeah.
With my background in the court service, I said, pay it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we paid it.
So does he still own the copyright and is this something that might be a recurring thing? Yeah,
The
you-
document has been removed, or at least yes, I couldn't remove the image, so I had to remove the entire document. It is quite a few years old, I expect a judgment, you know, leave it up or take the whole thing down. The whole thing is gone. I've had extensive email conversations with Mr. Webb. He is perfectly happy. He has no issues. I repeatedly going back and saying, look, this is the situation. This is why it's still up. I'm having issues with getting authorization, issues with the actual system. He was happy. He was fine.
Okay, so it's not likely to come back and go, well.
It's now gone. Totally removed.
Yeah, we did try to challenge it. But it didn't work.
Yeah, it would have cost more in solicitor's fees to challenge than it we're paying now. No, as I said, I worked for the court service for 30 years. My view was it just wasn't working.
No, thank you.
I think point 2 is it's over at Lloyds Bank.
Might be being incredibly stupid here,
Probably not.
but I'm seeing on page 52 as paying out, by the look of it, unless I'm reading this incorrectly, for a show or for shows?
Sorry, councillor.
Or was that income?
Are we
I
on
thought
Lloyds
that's
here?
income, because that's ones we've held at the assembly.
That's what I'm wanting to clarify, that bottom of page 52,
I'm not sure my number is the same as
No,
yours, because my
no,
Lloyds starts at 59.
Yeah, mine too.
It's Unity.
Oh, it's still in
Unity
Unity.
still.
well, I don't even move past Unity. Is that income then, that 8,000 and that 1,000?
No, that's the. Answer. Yeah, handshake and cart, that's, they're the tickets basically. So that amount is the amount of money, more tickets were sold, we invoice the band with the hall hire and everything else, the PPL and that, and then that's the remaining amount of tickets that we pay to them.
So they invoice us for those tickets?
Yeah, based on the settlement sheet that Brian creates.
Because this was the thing I made the career review about, Tracy, before, with my concern about whether the VAT was being handled correctly on all of this.
We had checked out, didn't we, the VAT element on that?
As far as I can say, the VAT, we are correctly charging VAT on all of our expenses now. So Brian will calculate how much the hall hire has been, the lighting, the credit card charges and everything else. We put that on top of that, but the ticket sales, we're just acting as the box office. So say for that, say for the 1p to K, the tickets were possibly £2,095.50. Our costs, including that, were 1,000. We then give them the remainder for the tickets. So there's no VAT implication, but we've got the VAT
What do you mean there's no VAT?
on the ticket side.
But the money's going through our bank account.
We're doing a holding account, yeah, as such. It comes in, but
But we're reclaiming the VAT on them and then charging the VAT again on it.
there's no VAT on the tickets.
But there's VAT on tickets, isn't there? If I go to somewhere, if I go to the Theatre Royal Bath and buy a ticket to go and watch a show, I'll be paying 20% VAT on that ticket, won't I?
Yeah, and this is where I'll have to stop you there and refer back to CalPERS to get the full explanation. So that's the explanation of the £8 grand and the £1 grand, the 1,000. The fact that we've taken our charges out of the overall ticket sales. When it comes to the VAT, I hear what you're saying. Obviously, he's got more knowledge than me, but we had the VAT accountants in who went through and they were happy with everything that we've done. We've been doing it for the past 18 months. They came in 3-4 months ago.
I was just going to say, John, we've got a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks, haven't we, to go through all the payments and processes and things of the Assembly Hall. So maybe we could pick that up then.
We've got an Assembly Hall meeting coming up for free too.
Yeah, but yeah, council agreed to special meeting for the Assembly Hall.
Oh, I thought that was about the roll of it, but
Well, I think it was a bit of everything. They wanted to know what the income and the expenditure and how much it costs and how they process things. So we're gonna have like Brian and Campesh and Hugh here. They can go through all that process review of the payments.
Maybe just save some time at that meeting. One of those, any one of them really, someone could just send me through the breakdown of how that's been done, because if I can answer it in my head beforehand, then
Yeah.
otherwise, you know what I'm like, I'll be a dog and a bone in the meeting and delay it, but
Can I just say, would you be happy with the settlement sheets, the paperwork that I have relating to those two particular ones?
if you send me those, and then if I've got queries that come from it, I can.
Yeah.
So we've now received the Unity Bank transactions. Noted them. Lloyds Bank, starting on, I don't know which page it is, depending on which version we've got.
It starts with agenda item 8.2 at the top
Yes,
of the page.
yes. Mine's 59, but
Yes.
others may be different.
So there's money going in here for the same show that we were seeing, Peter Kay, for instance. There was the ticket money that was there just now on the Unity account. And then we've got admittedly a lot less, but 134 quid for it on this account.
What date are you looking at?
I'm looking at the, oh, I don't know, because I've got banked on the 10th for the 10th.
Banked on it, right, that's the sale of tickets. So where we've moved everything over to payments by backs, they all go out of Unity. But the well, the 10th of the 10th has got B alongside, so there'll be bar takings. So all the income that comes in down there are either tickets, or if it's got a B alongside, it'll be the bar takings.
For the Peter Kay night, we only took £134 on the bar.
Yeah. Well, no, hang on a minute, if you go down, what we don't give you is the virtual account, the credit card account, so that's in October, it's still going through AIB, so if you look at the bottom of the income page, which is page 64, up the top 64, page 60 on the screen, you'll see a credit of 3849, which are on the 31st of October. That's
Sorry, where? Page top of 64.
yeah, where it says at the top it's 64, but actually on the page it says page 60.
Oh,
Go
okay.
down a page from where you're looking. So the £134 that's gone in that you've just looked at, that's cash that was paid on the 9th. Whereas anything that went through the bar,
The card reader.
the card reader, yeah, it went through the card reader, sorry. That will be included in that £3,849.57.
On one page, yeah.
You look at your page, page 60 down on the bottom.
So there's no breakdown of what the bar takings on a night are, it's just.
Not on the cards. It was very difficult. Well, it's still fairly hard to do it, to check on the bar, to allocate the bar off. And this is something where now we've moved over to Dojo, I'm going to see if we can try and.
But surely the X report and Y report on the X report, Z report on the till
I've got to get together with Brian and Hugh.
will tell you that.
I think we need that separately.
Again, this is something that's been being talked about for, I can't remember how long. And I thought the whole point of all these new things we were getting was it resolved all of these issues. Because when they put it through the till, do they not put £4.50 and then press cash or card for payment?
I'm not too sure what they actually do on there, and I don't know because the machines just changed, the systems just changed.
No, not the card reading machine,
Yeah.
the till. that they put the drinks in and tot it up on.
Can I ask that you include that in the meeting that you're gonna have, because I don't know how the system works with the card machine.
Which tills are
I'll just register.
But the most basic, the £110 till that I've got at Canberra does all of this with steroids on, and even the most basic ones would record the income source, whether it was cash or card or in the old days check or whatever, so that you could balance it off.
Didn't we have some tills?
Michelle works in the assembly hall, which is why I think she's trying to explain to me somehow.
Michelle,
Yes, John, you absolutely do. I've recently started working there a few months ago for casual staff of the bar, and yes, we do select cash or card payments, so that is recorded, and you can see a breakdown at the end of the evening. How it's recorded after that is another matter, but we're often told we've done an amazing night tonight, we've made, you've done this much, and your till was bang on, or can anyone explain why we might be a bit short, and so we say, oh yeah, I've put a bottle through wrong, or whatever. So yeah, the details are available there, but yes, there is a breakdown of card transactions and cash transactions.
Does it get printed out on a long piece of paper?
Not from the actual physical tills in the bar, but there are pieces of paper flying about from the, at the end of the night.
hey, Michelle, real estate standing board.
I give up.
I think that's one of the ones we need to add to the list, John.
I think it's something that can be brought to the assembly hall meeting. I think the reality is, I mean, I worked in exactly the same thing as the assembly hall for a very, very long time as a bar manager. They are not hard reports to pull off. They are usually one click on a till. So I think that they should be something that are very easy to be brought here. I appreciate that Brian may not have been doing that because that wasn't his role to do, but in the role he's in now, it has to be fine and reconciled. And it should be reconciled with stock as well, so we know, because ultimately the public depends on that stock.
Porter?
Yeah, I just think they are the sort of things that need to be reported back as well, just so we know things happen. You know what I do. I know sometimes you put a bottle through wrong, but they can usually be rectified, and I want to check that those are the sort of things.
Anything else on the Lloyd's account? So can we treat that as being received? And
I could facetiously ask why we still got it. I'm bored of that one as well now.
Independent, we are starting to wind it, perhaps other funds across.
We've been doing that for God knows how long.
item 8.3 is petty cash.
Which balances?
Which doesn't seem to have much happening on it.
Great, well, that's good, that's how it should be.
What was that, yours?
You've received. Item 8.4, the detailed income and expenditure report. For, up to the end of month 8, which was 30th of November.
There is a lot of stuff that's massively over.
And still no variance report.
Still no narrative.
Yes. Which I can't begin to describe how angry about. I'm really sorry. This is past the point now where we sit here and politely say, oh goodness, what a shame. It's rude. It's disrespectful of this council that we have been asking for 18 months, 2 years that we get this. And it's just ignored. What do we have to do to be given the information to be able to do our jobs?
Yep, I agree with your sentiments. I did pose some questions myself on what I consider to be significant variances. But I'm happy to summarise now if you like. So, my first comment was on,
I'm sorry, Chair, you're moving on to another matter. There's not an answer to the question. Where are the variance reports that we should have received? It's not that we're asking them for the first time. It's not new. Every single time, we just gloss over the fact that this information is not being provided to members.
so then, Tracy.
Yeah, I'll bring it to the next, what about school,
So-
I don't know.
Can we please be provided with
Yeah.
a variance report for the month, 8 November ones,
Yeah.
and for any subsequent income expenditure reports that we're provided with? For month 8, so I asked about the cost centre 101, account 4,000 salaries, actually staff costs, and the apparent £32,000 variance against, on the year-to-date basis, against the full year's budget. And I was advised there's a pension strain cost of £32,000 odd to come from Wiltshire Pension Fund for an ex-employee. And the projected salary cost for the remaining months of the year is around £32,000, so that the projection to the end of the year is estimated at £384,000, which was considered when we looked at the budget.
Sorry.
Professional. Yeah, I also asked about cost centre 204, which is the Pavilion Cafe. And I noted that there was a difference between the recovery of costs in respect of electricity from the Pavilion Cafe and costs incurred on electricity. I discussed this with you who went through the spreadsheet that he maintains monitoring electricity costs and meter usage. There are some differences between them that he wasn't able to explain, and I need to discuss this with, or get further clarification from either Mel or from Kalpesh, who is available next. Those are the only comments that I have going on to my inquiries at Kalpesh. Yes, I've got some. As well. Both of you. Other remarks or observations from anybody else?
Well, we're not getting the variance reports. I mean, we can't do our job with the paperwork coming. I'm sorry, Chair. I just can't believe that you're willing to just we've sent these back twice in previous meetings, saying we're not even prepared to accept the report. And it's still continuing as it is, and we just seem to be willing to just say, oh, well, such is the way.
No, John, that's disingenuous. As councillors, we received these reports along with the other work, agenda papers. And if we have, I accept that we should ideally have received reports from the RFO to accompany these, but it's still within our powers as councillors to pose questions via the clerk to the RFO for an explanation if we've not received a report, to ask questions.
Yeah, but I think where it's getting to is that the frustrations of continuing asking for something that's not appearing.
Yes.
You just literally feel like you are continually banging your head against a brick wall, and seemingly it doesn't matter how many times you ask for it, and there doesn't seem to be much point in continuing to ask for it because it doesn't appear. And nobody, nobody's sitting here saying to us, right, this is the reason why we haven't had it. We're sat again at a finance meeting. I understand Cowpesh is on holiday, but again, we haven't got somebody in the room that's able to answer these questions as to why we still don't have this report. And just saying that, oh yes, it's going to make sure it happens next time. We've been told it's going to happen next time, every single meeting. And I'm not quite as vocal as you are and stuff, but I really do share John's frustration, because this is just tiresome sitting here having these same conversations every time and looking at, again, a report that actually, quite frankly, is pretty much a waste of time at the moment because there is no explanation to any of it.
Was there not, I'm not defending, I've taken on board exactly what you're saying, but when we talk about the budgets, we have sat through over 50 hours of budget meeting where Cowpesh has gone line by line by line on each figure.
Yes, although that was really to give councillors an understanding of what the actual expenditure had been and what the projections were through to the end of the year, in order to assess the reasonableness of a proposal.
In all due respect, those meetings were behind closed doors, not with the public able to see those papers, those discussions. We have members of the public who rightly are interested in what's going on. Some are sat in the room tonight, some have contacted us, others will be watching this online. They don't know what was in those budget meetings.
No.
We need to be way more transparent with this.
Yeah,
It's just.
And I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, we need to have those 50, as John has said, we do need to have them. We've asked them to be in the next meeting. I think the reality is if they are not presented to us, the meeting can't go ahead. Because we have asked for them, I think we see the frustration. We can go around in circles on a frustration, but the reality is we need an outcome. And I think the outcome is that we're going to ask for them to come to that next meeting and they have to be there. Because we've got to know, and the public deserve to know. It's not just us. We need to know because we need to be able to ask you the questions, but ultimately the public deserve to know what their money has been spent on.
The reality is I will not sit through and
No,
meeting about this. If it's not in the next one, I won't even bother to walk to the front door, to be quite frank.
What really worries me is we've effectively had 4 substantive items on this evening's agenda. Okay, the financial risk assessment, not properly put together, take it away, work on it, bring it back again. The interim report, all sorts of issues with that and what's not been done properly, having to go away, look at it. We've then had the report back on the grants that have been given, and that was fantastic. And then we come to the finances for the year-to-date accounts and all the rest of it, not properly presented, not what we're meant to have. This is the Finance and Performance Committee of this council, and we can't even perform well enough to bring our own agenda to this meeting properly. And I'm sorry, Tracy, I'm really sorry to be having a go like this, but I just don't know what the answer is now. Because we've asked for this information long before you were with us. And it's what worries me is it's successively not happening. If it was just, we haven't had it for 3 months or 3 meetings or something, but I can't really remember the last time we had a meeting of the finance committee where all the papers came to it properly. I genuinely can't remember one. And I'm going back before the last election and probably the one before that. And we wonder as a council how we end up in the situation that we're in, because we're not in a good place. But it's answered by that.
Yeah.
We're not working from proper information.
I think we're just now gonna have stricter control between myself and Andrew as well. If they're not producing the report to us, then we reject it and don't put it on. And then, you know, it's got to come back in, so if we haven't got the variance, then we don't put it on the agenda.
That's fine. I mean, obviously, I need definite clarification of what's needed, because as I repeatedly said, I'm not trying to pass the buck, but I've repeatedly said, I don't understand your
I know
finances.
what's needed, I know
So
what
I
else
need
is
to
right.
know what is required before I can, you know, say, yes, this is right, or this is not.
I think what really needs to happen, Tracy, is you have to sign off the agenda before it can go out, and you have to sign off the reports before they can go out. And you have to satisfy yourself that those things have been done. I know you should be able to leave it for others to do, but
I also just like to say, if I can make sure that when we've deferred things from previous meetings, so like in the last meeting, we deferred a projects update. So that we can work and talk about the performance. That's not on this agenda this time either. And we've actually deferred those project updates now every time. We just don't have the time for it. We've actually got time tonight and we don't have it. And you know, and yeah, it's really important that actually we are getting all the aspects of this meeting, and it's not just finance. It's finance and performance and admin. And we're not getting, I don't feel, all the aspects of that.
I mean, yeah, I well, maybe that's my thought,
It's normally on there, Andrew, normally we just don't get around to
and
it.
of all the people to name, actually, Andrew, you're one of the few that's not on my list.
That's why it's not tonight. My understanding, and I may be obviously, sorry, may have misunderstood this, that and I appreciate fully that, and it occurred to me that this is finance performance. My understanding was that the performance reports would go into the committees that actually manage them now.
I thought we were still getting updates here on how they were progressing, because I thought we were the overall,
At every project, every list,
yeah.
we've broken down so that we report each bit to each committee, so that this committee wasn't overwhelmed with every single project. But I mean, what would you want to see as your performance here?
Well, that's
Is it
what I was
just
going to say, if we
another-
don't have that, what is the performance part of the committee then? Because
It was resolved in a motion, that that's what we were doing here. Because it was a motion. I
Well, all the items really that's come out tonight and other meetings really is like performance added to there.
I mean, we got to the point where, and now Sarah's gone, that hasn't progressed. Maybe I need to sit down with Hayley, if you're agreeable, because it's not for me to start, should be what staff should be doing, but Hayley's the one who's here all the time to actually get that. Do you remember that spreadsheet that we were going to be putting onto Teams, and we demoed it and everyone agreed it, and then that we actually do the final stage on that at least gives us the reporting mechanism. If you're happy for me to take some of Hayley's time and complete that, because that's going to be her who does that now, isn't it?
Hayley has been working on that every project ever.
Yeah.
It really needs a more elegant name, I think. And sort of
report.
colour code it and such like, so that we know, you know.
But that's what you see, we had all of that set up. So all of that colour coding, all of that stuff happened automatically through Teams and through the automated functions in there. But it needed somebody in the office to say, this is now the point where you can do the transfer. And I've never been given we're now at the point of doing the transfer. But if I can steal some of Hayley's time, we can just sit down and get it to the point where we can just do the transfer and do it. And that will save time afterwards, but it won't address issues like these.
Yeah.
You know,
As I say, I will put my hands up, I can put it back onto the agenda, that was my understanding, obviously. But I mean, you know, I can, obviously, some of you sit on the other committees, and you will know that certainly assets management, certainly Councillor A Westbrook goes through that item by item with a fine tooth comb.
Certainly does, as chair should. That is what they're there to do, to ensure that things get done.
over there,
Yeah, with that.
so. You're gonna close the meeting, then?
I'm contemplating whether there's any point in proposing that we accept these accounts.
They're each a note, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're not for us to accept.
we don't accept them here.
So
Actually, we do,
Do we?
yeah, we accept the full council notes them.
Have I got to know?
Get my
Sorry.
meeting.
well, that's
Again.
I don't know, I don't think you did this, you know.
I don't know what it said on the agenda.
I've actually just put statement to receive and approve.
Yeah, they were.
Receive and approve.
We haven't approved them, have we?
I'll propose that we approve them.
Which bit are we approving? Because I'm happy to approve the bank statements, I'm not happy to approve the detailed income and expenditure.
Yeah, we'll approve the payments.
Yeah, I'm happy to approve that.
Yeah.
So 8 point, hang on, where's my agenda?
So it would be 8.1, 8.2, 8.3.
Are we able to approve the bank?
8.1, 8.2 and 8.3, yes, Saf is right, Unity Bank, Lloyds Bank and Petty Cash, I propose that we approve those.
Yeah.
And then can I propose that we don't approve the detailed income and expenditure by budget heading because we want to have a more detailed.
It's an incomplete report,
Yeah. That we've requested there to be,
again,
again, at the special meeting that this comes to us detailed and we have to make sure that that does happen. I suppose, don't approve them.
In favour? Any other business? Meeting closed. Thank you very much.
And also the Facebook post went up about.